Ignoring someone can look like confidence. No argument, no explanation, just silence. But sometimes silence is not peace or self-control. It is a way to make another person anxious enough to surrender. The difficult part is that healthy distance can look similar from the outside. Someone may go quiet because they are overwhelmed, protecting a boundary, or trying not to say something harmful. By the end of this video, you will know how to tell protective distance from controlling silence, and what to do without chasing, attacking, or abandoning your own dignity. Human beings are built to notice changes in connection. When a person who normally responds suddenly becomes unavailable, your mind does not receive a clean ending. It receives a gap. That gap produces questions. Did I do something wrong? Are they leaving? Is something about to happen? Should I send another message? Psychologists Roy Baumeister and Mark Leary argued that the need to form and maintain stable relationships is a fundamental human motivation. Later work on ostracism described how exclusion can threaten belonging, self-esteem, control, and a sense that our existence matters to other people. This does not mean every unanswered message is psychological abuse. It explains why unexplained withdrawal can occupy so much mental space. The brain keeps searching for information that would close the loop, and that is where silence can become leverage. If one person controls when contact disappears and when it returns, they may also begin to control the other person's attention. Imagine two versions of the same conflict. In the first, someone says, "I am too activated to talk well right now. I need an hour. I will call you at 7. In the second, they disappear. They read messages but do not answer. When asked what is happening, they offer no time frame and no explanation. Contact returns only after the other person apologizes, gives in, or proves devotion. Both involve silence. Only one preserves mutual reality. Healthy distance communicates three things: what is happening, what the boundary is, and when repair can begin. It may be brief, "I need tonight. Let's talk tomorrow," but it reduces unnecessary uncertainty. Punitive silence does the opposite. It leaves the other person guessing, then uses that guessing as pressure. There is also a third possibility: stonewalling caused by overwhelm. A person may shut down because their body is flooded by conflict, not because they plan to control anyone. Intent matters, but impact and repair matter too. Someone who becomes overwhelmed can learn to name the pause and reliably come back. Repeatedly vanishing without repair is still damaging, whatever started it. The first sign is contingency. The silence ends when you comply. If contact reliably returns after you apologize for something unclear, drop a boundary, or accept their version of events, the silence is training a response. It is not merely creating space. The second sign is strategic ambiguity. You are not told what happened or when conversation might resume. Every attempt to clarify creates more uncertainty. The third sign is selective availability. They can communicate with other people, post publicly, or handle practical matters, yet refuse only the conversation that would create accountability. Selectivity alone proves nothing, but repeated patterns matter. The fourth sign is unequal permission. They may withdraw whenever they want, but punish you if you need time. Their silence is called a boundary. Yours is called disrespect. The fifth sign is a missing repair. When contact returns, the disappearance cannot be discussed. You are expected to feel relieved and move on. If you ask for a healthier process, silence begins again. One sign in one conflict is not a diagnosis. Look for a repeated sequence: rupture, unexplained withdrawal, pursuit, surrender, return, and no repair. When connection becomes unpredictable, many people increase their effort. They send a longer message, soften a reasonable boundary, or apologize before they even know the accusation. This reaction is understandable. Pursuit promises immediate relief. If one more message restores contact, the discomfort may stop, but pursuit can accidentally reward the pattern. The person withdrawing learns that silence produces attention, concessions, or proof of loyalty. The person chasing learns that self-abandonment restores temporary peace. Notice the word temporary. The original problem remains unresolved. The relationship has only learned a more efficient way to avoid it. The goal is not to win by becoming colder. That simply turns the relationship into a contest over who can care less. The goal is to refuse the uncertainty game while leaving a clear door open for respectful conversation. Start with one message, not 10. You could say, "I can see that you do not want to talk right now. I will give you space. I am available tomorrow if we can discuss what happened directly." That message recognizes the pause without accepting indefinite punishment. It also creates a test. A person seeking regulation has a clear path back. A person seeking control no longer receives unlimited pursuit. Next, stop negotiating with guesses. Do not invent accusations and defend yourself against each one. Do not ask mutual friends to decode a silence that the person themselves refuses to explain. Then set a boundary around the process, not their emotion. You cannot order someone to speak. You can decide what you will participate in. For example, taking time is okay. Disappearing for days after conflict without telling me when we can reconnect is not a relationship pattern I can continue. Finally, observe behavior after the boundary. A healthy response does not need to be perfect. The person may feel defensive or need practice. What matters is whether they can acknowledge the impact, agree on a pause and return plan, and follow it more often over time. If the response is ridicule, escalation, retaliation, or another unexplained disappearance, you have received information. Do not confuse the intensity of your desire for repair with evidence that repair is available. Sometimes no contact is appropriate. If communication is threatening, harassing, coercive, or repeatedly violates a clear boundary, disengagement can be protective. Safety does not require offering unlimited access or a final debate. In dangerous situations, seek support from trusted people or qualified local services and make a plan suited to your circumstances. Silence can also be healthy when it prevents impulsive harm and is paired with a promised return. A pause becomes relationally safer when it has a reason, a time frame, and a repair. So the question is not, is silence good or bad? The better question is, what does this silence repeatedly do? Does it regulate emotion and make a respectful conversation more possible? Or does it create uncertainty until one person gives up their needs? Silence becomes control when uncertainty is not a side effect, but the mechanism. If this pattern is happening to you, send one clear message, stop chasing, and watch what happens when respectful conversation becomes the only path back. Their response will tell you more than another hour spent decoding the silence. The next Dark Mind file examines 7 ordinary behaviors that reveal someone's character long before a dramatic betrayal does. 1.